Dr. Gandy and Mr. Borsi and also Mr. Carusi, let's talk about increasing incentives. I know that it was mentioned earlier. We want companies to continue to invest in new and innovative treatments, but it seems to be because of so many diseases that currently go without treatment options. In your testimony, you all touched on extending exclusivity and patent life. Can you elaborate on how market exclusivity, data exclusivity, and patent life play a part on driving innovation for treating neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's or perhaps Parkinson's, and how, if we do nothing, this could hurt the development of new innovative therapies? Why don't we start with Dr. Gandy, please?
Yeah, I would say in my experience over the past 30 years, I've watched the pharma and VC investment in Alzheimer's research dwindle, and the single reason that's most frequently cited is the regulatory path, the challenge for getting approval and then having sufficient patent life left to recoup any of the investment. Alzheimer's disease moves very slowly. The clinical trials require hundreds of patients. They take years to complete, and it's really it's a monumental task. And we don't have yet any templates. We're trying to do something in biology we've never done before.
Thank you. Why don't we, Mr. Borsi, please?
2 weeks or so ago, I was talking with a senior pharmaceutical executive who is running a program in Alzheimer's, literally spending billions of dollars over many years. If we are to try to create and invest in a company that is going to pursue an Alzheimer's therapeutics, given that type of scale of time and money that is required, we need to have confidence that if we get to some early stage of proof of concept in the clinic, that a future partner, be that a pharmaceutical company or be that public market investors, will believe or be willing to take on the risk from there. We need to be able to hand the ball off to the next stage in the ecosystem for it to have been a viable place for to put our money in the beginning. If for that next step in the ecosystem, they literally are spending billions of dollars and an indefinite period of time, then they will say, you've created that innovation, but there's no protection left for that product. And therefore, even if we have, even if we show that proof of concept, they will say, but that has no value to us. That is a fundamental impediment to us investing in companies in the area.
Thank you. Mr. Carusi, please.
Yeah, I think it comes back to time. And so I want to give an example. In my portfolio of companies, we have a company, GI Dynamics. And GI Dynamics is developing a device-based approach to treat type 2 diabetes and obesity, two of the biggest chronic disease issues we have in this country. We first started that company in 2004. It's now 2014. We are still in the midst of running our clinical trial for FDA approval, and we are starting to commercialize the product outside of the U.S. If you had asked me today, okay, it's 10 years back, would you invest in this company knowing you weren't going to have approval until 2015, 2016? I wouldn't have made the investment, despite the fact that what they're doing is tremendously valuable. So it comes back to the incentives and whether or not, if it's going to take this much time and this much money, that again, we can make a reasonable return on that investment. And to me, it's a math problem, and that's what this comes down to. And I do think there are certain areas, and I think they're in the chronic disease field, where there are big studies, a lot of time, huge potential, but we're going to need help. And I think that's what we're asking for.
Very good, thank you. Can anybody on the panel give me a rundown on Parkinson's disease, if there are any promising therapies, breakthroughs, maybe delaying the onset of Parkinson's disease? Is there anybody on the panel that would like to discuss that?
The Parkinson's disease field is now following in the template of the Alzheimer's field in terms of generating these networks that are nationwide and looking for biomarkers. I think that they have the advantage of having a little more in terms of impact using transmitter replacement and manipulation than has happened with Alzheimer's. So there are some new medications there targeting some new receptors for symptomatic relief, but they haven't yet changed the progression of the disease, and that's really the key, is to slow the progression.
Anyone else? Oh, thank you.
A lot of good work on gene therapy.
Please, please. Did you?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
this
discuss
came
that.
up earlier, but this is one that is a challenging target, but clearly a feasible and difficult one. But a lot of good work. Some of the companies that have raised money lately are doing it aimed at Parkinson's.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. I'll yield back.